I've had a really difficult time reconciling my belief in God. I was raised in a kind of Baptist household. I wasn't baptized at all, but my mother was very much a church-going woman. My father is a lapsed Catholic. He doesn't go to church as much, actually at all. And I think he's kind of still in his rebellious phase. He's in his 50s, but he's still in his rebellious phase of, I don't want to go to church, I don't think it's stupid. But yet he still has his holy crusade hatred for homosexuals, and has this kind of weird, mild 1950s style racism about him. But I've always had this kind of weird spiritual fluctuation. It's been different. Like when I was in high school, I thought I was totally Buddhist, which was actually, hold on one second, which prompted me to buy this book, Thich Nhat Hanh's Living Buddha, Living Christ. Really good book. It basically compares the teachings of Buddha and the teachings of Christ. If you'll excuse me, I'm a little drunk. It was karaoke night tonight. I hope YouTube doesn't mind me drinking, because goodness gracious, that would be real, because people drink, and I sometimes drink to excess, which is probably one of the many things that make me question my belief in God, or at least question everyone's belief in God, because I don't just question mine. The other one would be masturbation, because I do that quite frequently. I have a T-shirt from an old work that is bundled in my corner that I use quite frequently. I got to put it somewhere. It can't just go on the wall, otherwise I get evicted. So my problems with God are usually in inconsistencies with how we perceive God. I read a lot of H.P. Lovecraft, and in H.P. Lovecraft they talk about creatures and beings that we have no earthly ability to comprehend as far as their motivations. Cthulhu and Hydra and Dagon and all of those, Azathoth, they have no earthly connections, no earthly thoughts, and they think at an alien wavelength. And for some reason we think that God thinks just like us. I've always postulated that God thought on a kind of an alien wavelength, where if he is so omnipotent and so omniscient, then why would he think exactly like us? Why would he make arbitrary rules like homosexuality is a sin? So really quick, I'm gonna, as I'm talking to you guys, I'm gonna bring up the Ten Commandments just to kind of look them over. But also, drinking to excess is kind of a modern sin. There's a lot of modern sins that aren't really in the Bible, but are enforced. There's no mention of masturbation in the Bible, but at least to my knowledge, yet it is considered a sin in at least the Catholic sect. And let's be honest, Catholicism is a sect of Christianity. It's not. It's where Christianity started, but then there was, of course, the Lutherans and the Protestants and things that started from there. So I'm gonna, if I can, not be drunk enough, I'm going to do 10 Commandments. Look, I only had to write in 10, and it comes up, which is proof as to how religiously biased our country is. We almost elected a Mormon, for crying out loud. I have nothing wrong personally with Mormons. One of my good friends is a Mormon, who I just found out. I made a Mormon joke, and she goes, "I'm Mormon." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, was it still funny?" And she goes, "Well, yes, but Mormons are typically good people. They're usually not bad, but their viewpoints, in my opinion, is kind of skewed." Also, a lot of religious people don't like to compromise on their beliefs. So let's see if we can't. My Google Chrome is moving really, really slow. So let's look up the Ten Commandments real quick. Thou shalt not whack off into an old T-shirt is usually not on there, as far as I know. But I've always thought that the Ten Commandments were the absolute laws, but they're also the laws in the Old Testament, which are for the Jewish people, as far as I know. If there's anybody that even watches these videos, please let me know. But the New Testament is supposed to be for modern day Christians. Let's see. Let's go. This is Judaism. References to Jesus. All right. And Wikipedia fails me again. Excuse me. Too much beer. Too much beer and too much singing. So while Wikipedia loads up and tries not to suck, that's because I, for some reason, opened the Revelation of Sinai. I don't. Just tell me what they are. Okay. Let's see. First one. You shall not have no other gods before me. That's pretty much a thing of arrogance. It's just like no other gods that exist can come. It has to be me. It has to be me. Well, if he's the only God there, why would he bother with that? Why say that? It's like you shall have no other gods before me. Well, if you're the other God, if you're the only God, then what's the fucking problem? You shall not make yourself a carved image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth and beneath, and that is water. You should not make a carved image. That's kind of stupid, because if somebody really thinks, I'm going to carve a really nice looking fish, why? If it's an art piece, that's kind of stupid. You should not bow down to them or say, there's a, for I am the Lord the God, am a jealous God, visiting the inquiry of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generations, those who hate me. Okay, so this God obviously had a serious inferiority complex, which bothers me, because you're giving God a human failing. God probably doesn't have this failing. If you put another God up there, it just goes, I'll just ignore you. It doesn't matter. Let's see. You shall not take the name of your Lord, the Lord your God, in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain. So don't say, oh my God, I guess. So, but then again, nobody ever says Jehovah. It's like, oh my Jehovah. No, it's that would be taking the Lord's name in vain. I've never done that. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. That's not realistic to people that need to pay bills. 6 days so you labor and do all the work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath. Lord, that's a fight whether it's Saturday or Sunday. Doesn't really matter. Honor your father and your mother. What if your father and your mother diddle your balls? You shall not murder. This one I'm okay with. This one I'm all right with. You shall not commit adultery. Okay with that one. Good. You shall not steal. Again, all right. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Lying. Again, that's good. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his male servant, or his female servant, or his ox, or his donkey. Does it matter whether your ox or donkey? Whatever. You shall not covet your neighbor's shit. But the thing is coveting. If you say, hey, I have what he wants, what he has, I want. I'm going to work for it. Isn't that part of capitalism? So, I personally think that God made a bunch of fucking stupid, arbitrary laws. Or no, man made a bunch of arbitrary, stupid fucking laws and attributed them to God. Who's to say that God even cares? Who's to say that, God used up all of his goddamn power making the fucking universe, and is now, sitting immortal somewhere, watching this and going, you're just fucking all this up, aren't you? I always put God as, sorry if I'm drunk, I'm slurring a little. I'm drunk and I'm drinking more. So I've always postulated that God was a being of omnipotence, omniscience, which are two different things. Omnipotence is all powerful. Omniscience is all seeing. So the thing is sometimes I don't believe in a devil, because why would, in the Old Testament, God didn't need a devil because he was a dick in and of himself. Look at the whole thing with Abraham. He said, hey, go kill your son. And at the last minute said, don't kill your son. I was just fucking with you. That, of course, I think is just a story that people say, well, he was testing Abraham's faith. Well, is that kind of like a girlfriend that tests how good of a boyfriend you are? Wouldn't you dump that bitch? I say that if God truly is the way he is, I acknowledge his presence, but I will not worship him. Homosexuals are just an evolutionary happening, whether it's a mistake or whether it's a blessing or what, or just a difference. There's more enough of us that we don't need everyone breeding. Obviously, I'm not going to breed. Fucking look at me. You see this? This is not breed-worthy material. This whole shaken fat form, which I have built of, pizza and beer, is not desirable, except for a couple people. But, I don't want to breed. I don't want to date, for crying out loud. That's let my brother and sister do that. But shit, I completely lost what I was saying. Well, we don't need everyone breeding. So if two dudes want to put one's dick up the other one's butt, and they do it for whatever, and they fall in love, let them. Is it hurting anyone else? But because one God arbitrarily doesn't like it, it's horrible. I say if God is truly like that, I will acknowledge him, but I will not worship him. He may be sovereign of the universe, but that still does not mean he's not a prick. And that's why I choose to believe in God a different way. As a being that does not judge, and judges a person on the goodness in their hearts, and not on what they're doing. As long as it's nothing bad. And sex shouldn't be anything bad. Just because you don't, add one more to the stack of billions that are on this planet. It shouldn't be a problem. And if I want to whack off in the shower, God shouldn't be peeping in on me. I'm going to go whack off in the shower now.